Eomji's father gleefully tells Do-ha that he didn't kill his daughter, but he sure hoped someone would, so he could collect insurance. His claim registers as truth, as does his tip that Jae-chin used to follow Eomji around like a stalker. Jae-chin takes off. When Do-ha finally catches him, he deadpans, "Okay, fine, I killed her," and then laughs. Sol-hee arrives a step too late to catch whether he's lying, and he threatens her with a knife so he can escape. Sol-hee assures Do-ha that Jae-chin isn't serious about hurting her, but Do-ha isn't taking any chances. Do-ha wants to believe Deuk-chin couldn't have known what Jae-chin did, so he insists on confronting his friend without Sol-hee listening in. Deuk-chin is visibly upset by the news, though he seems most upset about the thought of losing Do-ha's trust after all he and Jae-chin have done for him. Before moving forward with the story, let me tell you that this is the last part of this story. If you have not seen the previous parts, then I am giving its link above and below the description. You can see it from there. Now we move forward in this story. According to Sol-hee's dad, trust needs to be 100% or it's useless, but Sol-hee confesses to Do-ha that she's never trusted anyone completely because she was constantly being hurt by one lie or another. This comes after he helps her scour her entire apartment to find her escaped pet turtle, of K, her only confidant, and he promises to be her first fully trustworthy person. Meanwhile, Kong-min's investigation continues. Following Eom-ho's notes, he learns that a witness saw someone wearing Do-ha's jersey return to Eomji after Do-ha left her on the beach. Then Jin-hyuk caves, confesses, and turns over the ring he found with Eomji's corpse. It can't legally be used as evidence now, but it gives Kong-min another thread to pull. And pull he does until he discovers it's a copy. Someone had a third ring made to match Do-ha and Eomji's couple rings. Kong-min goes straight to Do-ha and Sol-hee with his findings. After a quick lie detector test on Do-ha, he levels with them. To convict Jae-chin, they need more evidence. The trouble is, Jae-chin has been caught by Sol-hee's gang boss friend, but his minions were bribed into letting Jae-chin go by none other than Deuk-chin. Do-ha and Sol-hee called Deuk-chin, trying not to jump to conclusions. He claims he's home alone, but it doesn't take Sol-hee's powers to figure out he's lying. Jae-chin is hiding out at his place. Desperate for the truth, Do-ha hires Sol-hee to set up one of her lie detection stings at the jazz bar. At first, Deuk-chin continues to lie that he has no idea where Jae-chin is. But when Do-ha gets emotional, Deuk-chin decides enough time has passed for him to safely tell the truth. Jae-chin is turning himself in for Eomji's murder as they speak. Seeing the betrayal on Do-ha's face, Deuk-chin adds, truthfully, that Jae-chin once asked who he'd save if Do-ha and Jae-chin were both drowning, and that he'd choose Do-ha, without fail, every time, but Jae-chin is still his brother. Since Jin-hyuk has exposed his own crime of accepting bribes, the murder case is turned over to Kong-min's unit. Do-ha's mother watches her political career go down the drain, unable to grasp why she's being punished for fabricating evidence when her son was innocent all along. She has the gall to accuse Do-ha of confusing her with his testimony, but he throws it right back. She should have trusted him from the start. Sol-hee and her friends throw Do-ha a surprise party, prompting him to cry tears of joy and launch into a heartfelt thank you speech that ends with a kiss for Sol-hee. But Do-ha can't shake a sense of incompleteness. And he's not the only one. The more Kong-min questions Jae-chin, the more robotic his answers sound. Plus, they just don't add up. So Kong-min asks Sol-hee for a favor. He gets her in to speak to Jae-chin, and she pretends to be in on his and Deuk-chin's plan to try and get answers out of him. It takes some prodding, but eventually he cracks. Deuk-chin was behind it all, and promised that if Jae-chin confessed in his place, he'd soon be released for lack of evidence. As for Deuk-chin himself, he's been working on overdrive trying to save J Entertainment. Aiming for extra PR points, he convinces both Sean and Do-ha to join him for a ceremony where he announces the company's vision for the future. He's stepping down and appointing Do-ha as CEO instead. Do-ha politely declines. Sol-hee, meanwhile, searches Deuk-chin's office for evidence. There, she finds a photo of him staring happily at Do-ha, and everything clicks. Deuk-chin is in love with Do-ha. The extra ring is his. When Sol-hee confronts Deuk-chin, he breaks down. He'd planned to turn himself in long ago, but kept delaying it because of his feelings for Do-ha. He promises to do it now and begs her not to let Do-ha know. But it's too late. Do-ha has overheard everything. Deuk-chin is too overcome with emotions to get an explanation out. He flees, narrowly escaping arrest at the hands of Kong-min, and leads them on a high-speed car chase. Then he unbuckles his seatbelt and deliberately crashes into a construction site. Kong-min drags him out and administers CPR. and then the car explodes, leaving an odd, ominous ringing in Sol-hee's ears. Duk-chan survives the car crash and subsequent surgery, and finally confesses the entire sad story. On that tragic night, he'd gone looking for Do-ha and found Eom-ji. To his shock, she already knew he liked Do-ha, so he pulled her away to the woods for privacy. There, they argued over who was more delusional, and when he pushed her in an emotional outburst, she hit her head on a rock and died. Duk-chan panicked. Gossip was already spreading that Do-ha and Eom-ji had fought, and, fearing Do-ha would be blamed for her death, Duk-chan tried to make it look like suicide instead. But just in case, he kept her shirt that was splattered with his own blood, so he could produce evidence if he ever needed to definitively clear Do-ha's name. He had hoped to take both his crime and his feelings for Do-ha to his own grave, but when his ring was unearthed, he knew time was up. Thus, he had Jae-chan turn himself in, so he'd have time to wrap things up for his family and everyone at J Entertainment. Now, Duk-chan apologizes to Do-ha, and though Do-ha maintains that an apology alone isn't enough, he also acknowledges that Duk-chan had his share of suffering. Duk-chan is sentenced to prison, and the truth is revealed to the public, along with an apology from the reporters who helped perpetuate false accusations. Now released, Eom-ho finally holds Eom-ji's funeral. He bows an apology to Do-ha, sobbing, and Do-ha assures him their violent history is water under the bridge. In the aftermath of the car explosion, however, Sol-hee has lost her powers. At first, she assumes there's simply been an uptick in honesty among the general public. But an encounter with a new VIP client, who, trusting in Sol-hee's signals, magnanimously accepts the increasingly ridiculous excuses put forward by his uninterested crush, makes it impossible to deny. Sol-hee can no longer hear lies. Her employees gamely agree to keep running the Taro Cafe like a normal cafe, despite the drop in pay. One of the worst things about Sol-hee's loss of abilities is that hurtful lies hit her extra hard, since they sound true to her ears. But the best thing about it is Do-ha's response. He takes full advantage of the opportunity to surprise her for once. Only someone who's used to relying on their ears to detect lies could fall for his unconvincing poker face, but Sol-hee takes him at face value when he says he forgot he has work to do and drops her off at home right after priming her for steak and pasta, which he then cooks from scratch so he can surprise her with a candlelight dinner. Sol-hee is delighted and decides she'd be okay if her abilities don't return. Cue lots of happy kisses. Since the main story is pretty much wrapped up by this point, we then spend almost an entire episode convincing Sol-hee's parents to get back together. Her mom's latest con has progressed to the point of a marriage proposal, even though she's physically repulsed by the man, but her feelings get all complicated when she learns that her divorce from Sol-hee's dad was the result of mutual misunderstandings. With some prodding from Sol-hee, the to go back and forth, hemming and hawing, and not wanting to admit they both still care about each other. Eventually, Sol-hee and Do-ha give Sol-hee's dad a makeover and send him in with a brand new ring to interrupt mom and her fiancé. Sol-hee's mom blurts out that she doesn't want to live with him again, and a familiar bell rings in Sol-hee's ears. Her powers are back. Her parents reconcile and ultimately open a noodle shop together. 1 year later, Do-ha, Young Jae, and Ethan have jointly produced a chart-topping album. This time, Do-ha accepts his Best Composer trophy in person, thanking Sol-hee in his speech for believing in him. Sean, who announces the award, has signed with a new company and scouted Chi-hoon to be her bodyguard and eventual boyfriend. Kongmin has also moved on, no longer visiting the Taro Cafe because he knows, at least for now, he won't be content to just be friends with Sol-hee. After hours one night, Do-ha finds Sol-hee at the Taro Cafe and presents her with the cuttest little handmade tarot card that has a picture of a bride and groom on side and the words "Marry me" on the reverse. He promises to be someone she can always trust. After she joyously accepts his proposal, he also gives her a ticket to see her favorite soccer team play. Though her powers have returned, Sol-hee has yet to take any more VIP clients. After much thought, she posts a notice. The liar hunter is closing up shop. People are more complex than a true or false verdict. She's learned, and after so many years of listening for lies, she's ready to spend her days focusing on love and trust instead. Like the rest of the show, there was a lot about this finale week that I loved, and also a lot that I wish I could rewrite. I'm relieved that Eom-ji's death was largely an accident, and I did find myself empathizing with Duk-chan more than I expected, but I still would have preferred a very different explanation. and something about the way most characters spoke about Eum-ji after the case was closed, including Duke Chan's final reveal about her goodbye text message, almost felt like they were talking about a different person who died in a different way after all. As for Sulhee's powers, the best explanation I can come up with is that the cognitive dissonance of hearing something she knew was a lie stated so emphatically, as if it were true, somehow triggered her alarm to work again. I'd have liked to see the trigger be something much more meaningful to her personally. But I didn't hate how it played out, and I did like that, in the end, she chose to walk away from her liar hunter career because she wanted to look for the best in people instead of the worst. So guys, it's time to say goodbye, but before that, if you like the story, then please like it, and give your opinion in the comment box, and yes, don't forget to subscribe to Cine Recaps. We will meet in the next video. Till then, take care.